I mean, social media and the world as a whole is now setting unrealistic goals for people, whether they like it or not.
Because it's everyone's airbrush lifestyle.
Completely. It's very hard now to be a man in the world and not have unrealistic expectations. If you're anywhere on the internet, you're seeing a whole bunch of crypto 19-year-olds pushing fucking cars and doing all this shit. So yeah, your expectations are gonna be ridiculously high. So I think people who get demotivated because they don't quite hit where they want to get just need to be more realistic about it. And like I said, you need to get a piece of paper or understand on a scale of 1 to 10 and say, how stressed do I want to be? How much pressure do I want to feel like I'm under? How much can I take? And be honest with yourself. I know I can handle it. I'm a professional. I've had 87 professional world champion fights. I've been there. I've been in the dressing room about to go fight a dude who just killed his last opponent. Like, I understand pressure. Most people don't. So you have to sit and go, how much pressure can I really take? Between 1 and 10. Well, let's say it's a 6 or a 7. Okay, and then you need to work out an income that reflects that, and that should be your goal, and be happy with it. People sit there and go, yeah, I want to be as rich as Tate, I want to be top cheetah. Most of you, the reason you're not here is because you couldn't do it. I could hand my life over to a bunch of people, even as it is completely.
And they couldn't do it.
They couldn't live it. They couldn't live it. They just fucking
Is that because they want that safety net as well? Do you think that's an aspect that allows you to push to the level you have?
Well, there's equal and opposite forces in the world. Everybody wants to glitz and glamour. Nobody wants equal and opposite force. Like, there's no such thing as, yeah, okay, there's a whole bunch of good with the fame, there's a whole bunch of bad with the fame, there's a whole bunch of good with the money, there's a whole bunch of bad with the money. So that's how it goes. I wanted this life. This is exactly what I want. It makes me happy. But there's a whole bunch of people who would not be happy in my position just because of the amount of pressure they're under. In my last cancellation, we had press trying to find my mother, family members doxxed. My last 20 ex-girlfriends called and offered a bribe, effectively 100,000 pounds, to do a negative story on me. None of them turned. Bank accounts frozen, travel bans, all my social media is deleted. All over the news, national news, I'm evil. Press releases in the schools saying that I'm bad for young men and I'm misogynistic. Like, most people are not prepared for that level of pressure. I slept fine. Most people would be like, whoa, there are death threats. Like, most people can't handle that. I can handle it fine. Most can't. You have to decide what you want to deal with. So when you're setting your expectations, it shouldn't just be about how much money you want to make. It's truly about how stressed and how much pressure do I want to be under. I actually enjoy it. I'm a warrior. I'd be bored in the other way. I want people coming for me. That's what I want. But if you don't want that, then don't build a life that does that. For now, at least, you can't escape the brutal realities of the real world. And I think also that, truthfully, on your deathbed, you're gonna regret all the chances you didn't take. I think, especially as a man, I think we're out here to conquer. And I've always taken a lot of risks. I've always been a risk taker. That's who I am as a person. No death, no risk, no glory. I've always been that guy. And I feel like a lot of it is also for you to decide in yourself and decide with your own conscience, will I be comfortable if I go to 6 out of 10? Or do I really need to be 10 out of 10? And that's fine. Everyone's different, right? But yeah, I think you should set the goal that you're truthfully prepared to live that lifestyle.
Everyone can be a better version of themselves.
Well, everyone can be a better version of themselves completely, and it's down to the 3 things I said earlier: stupid, lazy, arrogant. I think most people are just too arrogant to learn. And I'll give you an example of it. I'll give you an example of why people are too arrogant to learn. Let's forget about selling products. On my website, cobratate.com, I have an email list. It's completely and utterly free. I am a billionaire. I'm sitting here telling people how to make money. Anyone who's listening to this is watching, and they obviously find me entertaining. They find you entertaining. They understand we're knowledgeable. I will tell you how to make money, and I will give you knowledge and advice via email for free each day. There are people who will sit and watch this knowing that and still not sign up. Explain that to me. They're like, how could you sit and go, this guy's smart, he's entertaining, he knows things, he has a free email list. I am too lazy to type in
or arrogant
to sign up for free. It takes 6 seconds. And they still won't do it. Of the 1 million people who watch this, half of them will sign up and half of them won't. And the half that don't will still be like, I'll get rich one day. No, you fucking won't. You're a dumbass.
So if a man isn't rich, can they be deemed as successful?
Completely. You have to decide. Yeah, it depends. There are people who are dedicated to surfing and they live in a tent in Bali and they surf every day.
And love every minute of it.
And they smile. That's fantastic. You have to decide what you want in life. I wanted to conquer the world. And if you're going to conquer the world in the modern society we live in, that's going to be a fiscal conquer. That's what you're going to do. You're going to make a bunch of money. How else are you going to conquer the world? That's what I wanted. You have to decide what you want. And it's different folks for different strokes, and it takes a lot of different kind of people to make the world go round. But if you truly want to conquer the world, you're going to end up wanting a bunch of money because that's the way to do it. That's the way to do it. So you have to decide the life you want to live, right?
So if you had a teenage son, what would be the one piece of advice you'd give him to break through the matrix and achieve success in life, whatever that is for him?
I'm actually genuinely worried about my children because I grew up so broke. and they're going to be so fucking rich.
It is a worry, isn't it?
It's a worry because you're a different man when you have no safety net. You're a different man when you have to pull it off. No, I need to. No, I literally have to pull this off. I have to roll the dice. Most men don't understand what it feels like to roll a dice and you have to get a 6. They go, what do you mean you have to? No, I have to get a 6.
Yeah.
Oh, but what if you don't? No, I have to get a 6. You're not understanding me. So that's extremely character building. And for that reason, I'm going to make sure that my children, another thing that comes with it, I took a bunch of risks that I would never be comfortable with my children taking, because this is the problem. You go soft, right?
Yes.
I was riding around on a motorcycle with no insurance, running from the cops. And
Yeah.
I could have been splattered on the road, and I would never want my son to do that. But at the same time, I want him to be like me.
Yeah.
So it's difficult. It's hard. I can never be poor. My skill set, the people I know, my phone book, my reliability, my reputation. You could take all of my money today. I'll be a millionaire again in 2 weeks. I can call people and say, lend me 10 mil. Oh, that's Tate. I can call people. I know people. I have a place I can go. I'm good at speaking. Like, once you have those lessons and once you have that network and once you have those things built, you can't go broke. You really can't. You get to a point of life where the only way you could go broke is if you become a drug addict or something ridiculous. But yeah, so the lessons are very, very important.
Yeah.
I want to make it clear, because these last few years, people skipped all of them. Even if they have a little bit of money, they have none of the lessons, and they're going to suffer. The universe will teach them a lesson, for sure. And I will. And there's going to be a point when I'm definitely going to slow down. But it's almost second nature to me. It's not a conscious thing. If I'm awake, I don't see why I wouldn't be doing something constructive. I'm a conscious now. I've woken up. I'm either in the gym or I'm working. What else am I going to do besides turn my brain off in front of Netflix? It's just all clown world to me. If I'm awake, it's work or training, and that's how I've always lived, and that's just how I'm going to live as long as I can. If I get to a point where I fully need to slow down, then watching content can be a double-edged sword. You can learn a bunch of things, and everyone at home here, I like to feel like they're getting value and they're learning things. But there's also the other edge of people who feel like if they just watch a bunch of shit and do nothing, that they're taking action. They feel better about themselves, but they're not actually taking action. Yeah. So you have to balance the two carefully. Ultimately, it's going to be action that shapes your world. Ultimately, you're going to have to do something. So if you're watching something, you should be very conscious of what it is. I mean, I've created my reality, absolutely. I've cut out all bullshit in my life. Like, I don't have TikTok installed on my phone, man. So I don't have anything. I don't have anything installed on my phone. I don't absorb any bullshit, fucking random entertainment. I don't watch any podcasts of anyone else. Like, nothing. I don't need to. If you're a normal person, you're working a normal job, you're making $4,000 a month, and you pay all your bills, and you're left with $1,000 a month. And then in your spare time, you're worried about how to spend that or how to invest that $1,000 a month. Right. I think that's a waste of time. You should be far more worried about spending your time trying to make more money. Yeah, because $1,000 a month, it's just not enough money.
So you could invest that $1,000 in yourself.
Absolutely. Invest in knowledge or something like that. But investing in a coin, like I said, unless it's a lottery win. And before I go on to answer the question, I do want to make something clear. I think the last 2 years have been a fantastic period of wealth creation. The money printers were on full, and it was full clown world, and it was bullshit. And a lot of people made money during the clown world and spent it all, and they now think they're going to continue to make money in clown world ways.
Yeah, that's not happening.
No, the real world is back. The brokies and the wagies, you're all going back to McDonald's. If you bought Pooh Dick coin and made 200 grand, and you think you're going to be able to continue to do that for the rest of your life, you're a dumbass. That was a once in a lifetime generational gap where you could pull something off. And now it's back to the hard times. Even all the big tech companies, and the tech companies make money from the sky for free with pixels. They're cutting staff. If they're cutting staff, then it's really hard. It's going to get very difficult to make money now. So a lot of the dumb shit is over. In terms of how to make money in the world today, it's hard. I think that the world is changing into an economy which is to a degree based on attention. I think you need to find a way to get attention to you and who you are, your product or your service, and find a way to monetize it. So the easiest way to do that is to have some knowledge. Even the podcast you guys run is an extremely efficient podcast. If you compare it to some of the other YouTube channels, like the big ones, like where they do these crazy stunts and stuff. Yeah. For you to get views, you talk.
Yeah.
Yep.
For them to get views, they have to build a set and build that. It's not efficient, right? You need to find an efficient way to get attention, and then you have to prove yourself credible in your field and attract customers. And I think the best way to do that is online, and it doesn't matter what it is. And I think if you do those things, and you work very hard and you try your best and you're never lazy, you will make some money. That's what I believe. And one of the benefits of globalism and all the things we were talking about earlier on the podcast is now we're in a globalized world, and a lot of the products and services and things you can offer can be offered to absolutely everybody. So inside of don't want to do a plug, but I will. But inside of our university, we teach a bunch of things. We have 18 modern wealth creation methods, but they're all based on online. I think online, it's not groundbreaking to say the internet's here to stay and it's the future. And I think that whatever business you're in, you need an online presence to it. And then you have to find a way to attract attention. And the best way to do that is to come across as knowledgeable and interesting. You have to be careful if you just watch too much content. Like you guys have a website, right? And you teach things. I have a website, I teach things, whatever. If you watch this podcast and you've genuinely learned things from it, then you should be on one of the 2 websites by the time the end of the conversation ends. If you're gonna watch the podcast, you need that, and you need that for a variety of reasons. One, because you won't be satisfied with yourself. If you're given a bunch of money, you're never gonna be happy with money.
Yeah.
That's the first thing. And 2, there's so many lessons that come along the way with business that you can't just skip, right? So I know exactly what you mean. But as for my teenage son, I'm gonna try very hard to. He's gonna have problems he needs to solve. And I think if you're a young man, even if you're not my child, if you're just any man who's out there in the world today, you need to look at some problems that need solving, either for yourself or for society, and find a way to fix them. And I think that you should just adopt some problems and try and fix them. It doesn't matter what it is. You can just try and fix the litter in your area, or you can try and get a 6-pack, or whatever you want. Men are builders. The modern world, call me misogynistic, the modern world was built by men. Every building you're in was built by men. Every road you drive on was built by men. We're builders, we build things, and that's what you should be focused on. And like I said before, if you're hardworking and you build, and I think you'll do well in life. That's what it's really about. You can't hide away from the brutal realities of work. That's it. And while we're on the subject, that's actually where these last 2 years have been pure clown world, because I've known some people who've made a bunch of money in crypto, and I've said to them, what you've just gone through, what you've just done, is once in a generation, and it's completely ruined you. Because normally, if you make, let's say, 200 grand, you have learned lessons to make that 200 grand. You've learned marketing, you've learned sales, you've learned how to manage staff, you learn how to deal with pressure, you learn how to be on time, you've learned a bunch of things.
So you can continue it.
So you can continue. And even if you lose all the money, you retain the lessons.
100%.
What have you learned? You bought a coin, it went up. Okay, good. You have not learned a single fucking thing about how money is made, about personal development. You didn't even learn how to have a firm handshake and put on a tie. You learned nothing. You pulled it off, you made a few dollars. You've lost them now. And now, the worst thing about it is, you think you're too good for work. You think you're so smart now.
Yeah.
Oh, I made it. This is the next one. You got lucky. Now you think you're too good to actually get up and grind. You think you're just gonna pull it off again, another lottery win. And you don't think you have to work very hard. And guess what's gonna happen to you? You're gonna end up fucking broke. Because that's not the reality of the world. That clown world shit is over. All that shit is over. We're about to get into harder times than ever. If you're sitting at home and you made a bit of money with crypto and you think, don't worry, it's gonna go up again soon, you're just praying for some external force. That's not self-accountability. Sitting and watching the Bitcoin price, waiting for it to go up so you have money, is not self-accountability. That's prayer. Then you might as well just do the lottery numbers. All these people who made money in this clown world, a lot of them haven't learned any lessons about the reality of Earth, and it's about to get a lot harder. Inside of my school, The Real World, we have an entire subject on attention and focus, because a lot of kids, especially young kids now, can't even pay attention. We have to teach them from the beginning how to watch the lessons, because they're too long and they can't focus. So I got roasted on Twitter for this. So they attempted to roast me, but they can't, because I'm mean. But I said that I don't read books, and I'm very anti-reading, and it upset a whole bunch of people. My problem with reading is not that there's not good information there.
It's too slow.
It feels slow.
I'm with him.
It feels slow. I just feel like I don't have
read a bit faster.
Yeah, perhaps. I don't have the hours. I'm now at the point where I will hand the book to my PA and say, give me a 2-minute surmise, you read it. Like, for me, that's just where I am. But also, life teaches you a lot. And I think a lot of people are not very self-reflective of their own lives. I don't think, you can read a book and that's great. But I think if you're living an interesting life, if you were to take half an hour a day to actually sit and go, okay, what good has happened to me today and what bad has happened to me today? Why have those things happened and how can I prevent them from happening again? Most people don't, that kind of crap doesn't even cross their minds. Like every day I will sit at the end of the day and go, what bad has happened to me today? How did that happen? Did I get caught slipping was I on the street and some guys come up to me and it could have been a dangerous situation? Like, how could I genuinely have improved my reality? And you can self-reflect and teach yourself everything.
But that's total ownership of your life, isn't it?
But you have to have.
But a lot of people don't.
You have to have ownership of everything good that's ever happened to you and everything bad that's ever happened to you. I have complete ownership for the fact I was canceled. I don't sit there and go, oh, they're lying about me. Yes, they're lying, but I still own it completely. They're lying about me and they're talking shit, but I own it and I took responsibility for it and I sat there and I took absolute accountability and I thought, okay, how can I turn this in my favor? And I beat them. If I'm walking down the street and it starts to rain, I take responsibility for that. I didn't have to be in rainy London. I could have been somewhere else. I could have brought an umbrella. Could have took a car. I am responsible for getting wet in the rain. And there's people out here who just don't take any responsibility for their own actions, let alone the weather. If you take complete self-accountability and you self-reflect, you can learn a whole bunch about life.
But could you not just say that it's raining, this is unfortunate?
No, but that's what losers do. It's raining. I'm unlucky.
I must
got
be-
told.
Yeah, I must be a loser.
but that's what they'll say. I got wet because it rained, not my fault. Whereas I'll say I got wet because I did not prepare for the rain.
Didn't check the app.
I didn't check
get an umbrella.
Correct.
Didn't wear the right clothing.
Correct.
You knew where you were. You were in England. It was going to rain.
Correct. And I will punish myself for that, and I'll make sure it doesn't happen to me again. I will sit and actually consciously think about it. There's been times I've lost my car keys or something ridiculous and wasted 20 minutes of my life, and I'm furious, and I will make sure that never happens again. I am
I
very
agree.
I'm conscious with systems about stupid shit, so I don't make mistakes ever. If you don't sit and pay conscious attention to it and give it conscious effort, you're not going to learn.
I think
But even if you do, right, there's still a sense of satisfaction knowing you were forward thinking enough to try your absolute best. Like I have people who are after me, right? If they catch me and I end up getting murdered, for example, heaven forbid, I feel happy. I had a 7-man security team and an armored car and I did my best.
Took the precautions.
Yeah, but if I'm just walking around like a dummy and then they get me, then it's a different scenario, right? So it is what it is. You have to self-reflect. And I think that, yeah, reading's great, but if you take some time to look, I get this all the time. People say, oh, my girl left me. Why? I don't know, she just left. What do you mean you don't fucking know?
Think about it.
Why did she leave you? Oh, because she wanted If you think long enough, you'll realize it's because of you. You were not important enough to make her not want to leave. You can sit and say what she did and what she wanted, blah, blah. It's because you couldn't keep her. Because I could have kept her, so you couldn't. So it's your fault, and you're not self-reflecting. And then you're going to go into your next relationship, and because you didn't self-reflect and you haven't grown, you haven't done anything, guess what's going to happen? It's going to leave you again. So I think with a lot of investments, it also depends on the kind of time scale you're working on and if you need the money. So like if I were to buy Bitcoin at, what is it now, 16,500?
Yeah, about that.
If I were to buy Bitcoin now and I need that money in exactly a year, then the price matters. But if I buy Bitcoin now and I'm never gonna need the money, then I just sell when it goes up. It might take 10 years, it might take 20 years, who cares? Right? So a lot of investments is about how badly you need the money. It's the same with a lot of things. So I don't really time the bottom of markets so much now. What I do is I put in money I will never need. So I'll just say, I'll buy Bitcoin at whatever and just go, well, I refuse to lose.
And
So I'll just wait it out. Like I'll wait 4 years, 8 years, 15 years. Oh, look, I win. Boom.
And let's be clear, you're not going to leave it on the exchange, are you?
No, I'm not going to leave it on exchange. No.
Get it in your nano ledger.
That's right. That's right. You leave it on exchange, it's like leaving money in the bank, and I don't trust either of those things anymore. So, but yeah, I think with investments, but also in the whole idea of investing, I have people come to me and they say, look, I want to invest I think you need to be quite rich to invest in a significant way anyway. If you're living a normal life with a very normal wage, investing your £500 is not going to change your life.
So-
if you're a normal person with a normal wage and a normal income and you're focusing on investments, you're making a big mistake, because there's no way you can invest £500 that's going to grow into, maybe you could pull off a lottery win shitcoin pump or something, but in general, with anything normal, outside of this clown world garbage, which has vanished because the real world's back, because the last 2 years have been clown world. Now the real world's back and it's hard to make money again. There's nothing you can put £500 in without doing any work, and it's just going to blow up and it's going to make you a millionaire, right? So if you don't have significant money to invest, you shouldn't be focusing on investments. You should be focusing on how to make more money.